This video is part 2 and explores groups of 2. It builds on part 1, which looked at groups of 2 in the context of some Wellington boots. If you haven't watched that, we recommend you take a look at that first before continuing. As in part 1, we'll aim to understand multiplication in the context of a one-to-many relationship, and use this to begin to solve multiplication problems involving groups of 2. We'll also build on the previous video by exploring strategies to help us solve multiplication problems. In part 1, we began to explore the 1-to-2 relationship in things like scooters. One scooter has 2 wheels. And boots. One pair has 2 boots. In part 1, we learnt that if there were 5 pairs of boots, there were 10 boots, and we recorded it like this: 5 times 2 equals 10. How many boots would there be if there were 6 pairs of boots? Pause the video and work this out before continuing. As we've said before, there are many ways you might have worked this out, including skip counting, or maybe you just know the answer. One strategy you might have used is thinking about the idea that you know what 5 times 2 is. 5 times 2 equals 10. So if I've got 6 pairs of boots, this is one more group of 2 boots. So we just need to add on another 2 boots to the 10 boots we had already. 10 boots plus 2 boots equals 12 boots. If I want to record this in an equation using a multiplication sign, it looks like this. 6 lots of 2 equals 12, or 6 times 2 equals 12. In part 1, we also worked out that if there were 4 pairs of boots, this would mean that there were 8 boots in total. We recorded this in an equation like this. 4 lots of 2 is 8, or 4 times 2 equals 8. How many boots would there be if there were 8 pairs of boots? Pause the video and work this out before continuing. Again, there are many ways you might have worked this out. Compare your strategy to the example here, thinking about the advantages and disadvantages of each. One strategy you might have used is thinking about the idea that you know what 4 times 2 is. 4 times 2 equals 8. So if I've got 8 pairs of boots, this is double the number of groups. So we must have double the number of boots. Double 8 is 16. So this means that if 4 pairs of boots was 8 boots, then 8 pairs of boots must be 16 boots. I can record this in an equation like this. 8 lots of 2 is 16, or 8 times 2 equals 16. If you're not sure how to make sense of that equation, this might help. We know the number of pairs of boots, which was 8, and we know the number of boots per pair, which is still 2, just like it has been for all our questions about the boots. There are always 2 in a pair. And we're trying to figure out the total number of boots. We've just figured out that the total number of boots is 16, so we can say that 8 lots of 2 is 16. Or if we want to write that in an equation using a multiplication sign, we can write 8 times 2 equals 16. In part 1, we learnt that if there were 10 pairs of boots, there were 20 boots, and we recorded it like this: 10 times 2 equals 20. How many boots would there be if there were just 9 pairs of boots? Pause the video and work this out before continuing. As we've said before, there are many ways you might have worked this out, including skip counting, or maybe you just knew the answer. One strategy you might have used is thinking about the idea that you know what 10 times 2 is. 10 times 2 is 20. So if I've got 9 pairs of boots, this is one group of 2 fewer. So we just need to subtract one group of 2 boots from the 20 boots we already had. 20 boots minus 2 boots equals 18 boots. If I want to record this in an equation using a multiplication sign, it looks like this. 9 lots of 2 equals 18, or 9 times 2 equals 18. So to summarise, we've looked again at multiplication in the context of one-to-many relationships. In this video, we looked at 1-to-2 relationships. We used this to begin to solve multiplication problems involving groups of 2. And we built on the part 1 video by exploring a range of strategies that might help us to solve multiplication problems.